G'day and welcome back to the channel. Where we left off last, we made it from Pokeball to Ultra Ball with our, or rather a borrowed Giraffe, Torkoal plus Vileplume Mega Kangaskhan team. So we will continue our journey to Master Ball, and we have our first opponent, Banded Eon. They have the rain, so that's something that we definitely want to try and navigate around because they've got Mega Swampert, so they'd be looking at Swift Swim. So I think our Giraffe Kangaskhan Torkoal combo could do quite well here if they try and lead with either Pelipper or Sneasler. Having Torkoal there is handy for the Sinistra. Then it comes down to, if they do bring rain, and we can just bring Basculegion and do some big wave crashes. But I think we're going to need Vileplume just in case late game we haven't dealt properly with Mega Swampert. And that's something that they could definitely consider. Given they're also taking a bit of time to think about it, makes me think they're not just defaulting to rain, and they're going to actually possibly try and trick us up, although they're not really going to be able to do that with Sableye, given Sableye's Prankster and Giraffe's immune to priority things. So Dragonite Admirer. Let's see what they decided to lead with. So they were going to go with Swampert and Sableye, which I think is a good lead, because then obviously if we led with the Sun, they could turn one, swap in their Pelipper. So we're going to expect they've got rain in the back. So let's Trick Room to help our guy in the back, Torkoal. And who are we going to do? I think we need to fake out the Swampert just in case they go for a bit of damage. And then we could also just Disease Snow, because if we Mega Evolve, we lose Scrappy. So we'd have to stay in normal form to be able to fake out the Sableye, which is why it was showing as Low Kick would be effective. They too are going to Mega Evolve, but they Mega Evolve after us. So we were actually faster than them. So that's interesting to note. We will fake it out and do an easy 21% damage. So good chip is good. Sableye's setting up the Reflect to reduce the physical damage we are going to be dealing from our Mega Kangaskhan. And that is okay. You know, we're not going to be able to really... Psychic or Hyper Voice is not going to have any effect on Sableye. So let's Psychic the Swampert. And again, we don't really have much to do against the Sableye. So whether they read this and we double into Swampert, we don't immediately have an answer to Sableye. But they're going to swap that out for Sinistra, so they could probably protect this turn. I mean, that alone just heals the Swampert. Okay, so we're up against a player who is thinking about what it is that they are doing. So we're going to have to try and think a little bit ahead of them, because they obviously knew we were going to do that. So question is, do we keep doing that? And for how long? Because we've got Trick Room for 3 turns, so we want to at least try and think 3 turns ahead. I think it's a Psychic, and Kangaskhan's not going to be able to do much good here. I'm expecting Rage Powder from the Sinistra, so if we try and Double Edge again, it'd just get redirected. So we won't do that because they did Rage Powder. So our Psychic will at least go through from our Giraffe. and do 40% damage, so that's good scout. They did expect us to swap, and they decided to wave crash in the sun. So, I mean, the crit certainly helped them. This has put us in a very precarious position, because now we're not freely going to be able to hit the Swampert without changing to Hyper Voice and Weather Ball, which is a bit of a weird move. So they've withdrawn Sinistra, so they're going to go for another Hospitality. They've gone for Pelipper to change Weather Ball. Interesting. So this should actually do neutral damage, because water is good against... We lose the stab. Oh, but it's so close to KOing. That is most unfortunate. We almost had the KO then. That'll be enough to pick up the KO on Torkoal, which is fine. They've still not got a solution for the Giraffe, but it does mean our Vileplume is not in a great position, although we're at 112. So actually might not be a bad idea, although we're probably going to need the Vileplume for the Sinistra, so we will switch in the Kangaskhan for now, because we still have a turn of Trick Room left, so a Hyper Voice should do well here, and they're likely to protect here, I guess. So we're in a bit of a tricky situation. We can at least get some chip damage on the Pelipper if the Pelipper doesn't protect. But Swampert protects, and I expect the Pelipper to also be protecting. No. So we'll at least clean the Pelipper up with a Hyper Voice and the Fake Out. And then we're going to be in a spot of bother, because the... maybe we could have done that a turn on that turn. Because yeah, we need something to be able to take out this Swampert, although it's going to get a bit of health from this. So I think that turn, we left it on 1 hit point, is going to be the turning point for this. But we should still be able to Trick Room again, although... Swampert in the rain, there's 3 turns of rain unless they're Damp Rock. So a Wave Crash here could be absolutely deadly. And I don't think our Mega Kangaskhan has any way to deal damage if they just do a Rage Powder. So they might have a Snooker here, I think. So I'm banking on the fact that they're going to attack our Giraffe. So we'll protect there, but they could just as easily read that. They do use Rage Powder, so our Kangaskhan will do no damage. And they did try and Wave Crash our Giraffe. So we called what they did, and they called what we did. So we are at a net standstill. I think a Wave Crash should definitely KO us in the rain. If I swap to the Vileplume to save, because what have they got? We don't know what they have else in the back, do they? They've got the Sableye, and the Giraffe's not going to be great against the Sableye either. We are in a precarious situation. We're just going to have to Trick Room and swap to Vileplume. Maybe they can KO the Giraffe this turn, and we can then bring Kangaskhan back in. We didn't have a lot of time left to think about that, unfortunately. That's okay. Yeah, Giraffe goes down, and they've either got 1 or 3 turns. Oh, we might be able to bring Kangaskhan in. They could just as easily double protect here as well. Our Kangaskhan's pretty healthy. because we can threaten Fake Out here and a Sludge Bomb against the Sinistra. So again, they could just as easily do some swapping out here, and they do, and that's fair to them. We're not going to be able to easily pick off the Swampert if they do that, so they caught us doing that. But we get a Sludge Bomb off. Does trigger their Citrus Berry. It takes them back to half. But then they get a Magic Gotcha, which shouldn't do much at all. So okay, offensively, I don't think they have much left in the tank, although they did just burn our Kangaskhan. So that Sinistra Magic Gotcha has paid dividends for them. They do lose Reflect. Do we try and Sucker Punch? They're likely just going to set the Reflect back up again. We could just as easily double. Let's try for something a little bit different. I think that's the only way that we're really going to be able to get out of this is if we try and Sleep Powder, but they could redirect. Okay, so they protect, so our Sucker Punch will fail. But it does allow Sableye to do something crazy here and reset Reflect. But this would be our opportunity to put the Sableye to sleep, but when has Sleep Powder ever hit? So let's try this again. Okay, so all we've seen from Sableye is Reflect. Usually they pack like Foul Play, so I'm not sure. This could be a good opportunity for them to swap their Swampert back in, for sure. Rage Powder comes out, so our Sucker Punch will fail. We can Low Kick. Yeah, Kangaskhan is really not doing much well in this matchup. They do set the Light Screen, so they're covering now for Sleep Powder. But that allows us to Sludge Bomb and get the poison on. That is going to be crucial. So again, yeah, Low Kick, Fake Out, not doing much. Are we expecting Sableye to attack at any point in time? Gonna have to. Oh, that's Energy Ball, Sableye. Oh, they could just as easily Rage Powder again. I don't know. Oh, we actually get the Sucker Punch off. With the burn, it's not enough. Even Parental Bond is not huge damage. They try and quash us, but that fails. So we get an Energy Ball off, and that's only doing 29% damage. They do another Magic Gotcha, which we already saw didn't do a lot of damage. What is our out here? Oh, Poison's kicking in. That's good. We just need Kangaskhan to survive a little bit longer. But the burn is ticking us away. So I'm mindful the Sinistra is the key to their victory, and they've got 3 different things they can do. They can match a gotcha, they can protect, which we don't want to get caught under, and they can Rage Powder. So again, the quash fails, but we still just miss with Sleep Powder. Like, surely. Okay, so it just protected, so we should be free to Sucker Punch now. And Sludge Bomb? Or are they going to switch? Does it matter if they switch? We just really need it gone. I think we might be able to clutch this one out. It's going to be a tough one to manage. But there's the Rage Powder, so Sucker Punch will fail. But that's why we... Oh, they Rain Dance. Yeah, I don't think this Sableye has any offensive ability, so at least now we get rid of the Sinistra. And I mean, they could have very easily tried to navigate a heal onto the Swampert. The Rain Dance is good because then obviously now it's fast, but it's only got 2%. So we can just Sucker Punch, and on the off chance they've somehow managed to mitigate that, we'll Energy Ball. But I don't think, like, they can obviously protect here, and we've seen Quash, Reflect, and Rain Dance from the Sableye, so it's not overly offensive. Their only hope to navigate out of this is with their Swampert, which they've got in the rain and power to them, so that's fine. Again, their Sableye is literally carrying no offensive abilities. Look, you will go last, but that doesn't matter. And we're, yeah, because we're still hit. And yeah, we've allowed Kangaskhan to survive long enough to be able to manage, because they're not going to be able to keep protecting. They would need 3 in a row. If they've been keeping track of my PP, they would need to hit 2 more protects for them to win. So I think we've got this, because the Sucker Punch should KO, and it does. And then it's us versus a Sableye who has Rain Dance, Quash, and not much else. So, well done to them. They definitely navigated quite well. But unfortunately, they just fell short of taking our Kangaskhan out. So, good game, Bandit Eon. That is our very first encounter in Ultra Ball, and that was pretty tough. So, well done, GG. On to the next game. And we are on to our next battle. And they are more rain, but they also have Giraffe. But they have Blastoise. Blastoise is an interesting option. We know from previous that our leads do not fare well against Sinistra. So again, gonna have to fight for weather, and I think to do that, we do this. The question is, what does our end game look like? I think we need Basculegion over Vileplume here, but I imagine Blastoise is their Mega, and their whole goal is to get their Mega into the rain. And then if they succeed, then I guess our Basculegion will be able to take over late game. See, I'm expecting Blastoise King Gambit or King Gambit Giraffe. We're both on a 2-win streak. They are a full-fledged trainer. Look out. Oh, they just go straight into it. So, yeah, I mean, that's not ideal for them because, I mean, whether they go for Shell Smash or just a Water Spout, either way, we've got that covered and we just go straight into Trick Room. I don't think Pelipper has any way to stop that from happening. So we'll see how much we do to Blastoise. Yeah, we Mega Evolve. They didn't. We do 20% plus an extra 4%. Yeah, so whatever that was, they're going to try and Hurricane for confusion, and that's something that we've tried to do in the past, but didn't work. And now we've got Trick Room up, so I could easily switch in our Torkoal here to get rid of their rain, and I'm probably going to do that. Let's target their Pelipper and swap to the Sun. So I'm not overly worried about a water spout here, but we'll see what the Blastoise decides to do. I'm hoping to check out to see... They are going to Mega Evolve now. So now we know Mega Blastoise gets the Mega Launcher. No, Pelipper with the Hurricane in Trick Room. How cool. They even get the Confusion. And they're doubling into Kangaskhan. And successfully doubled into Kangaskhan. Which is okay with me, because we've got our Torkoal in for free now. Eruption in the Sun plus Hyper Voice is what we were trying to achieve. And we are now in a position to achieve that. Because yeah, Eruption's going to be doing more damage than a Weather Ball and or Earth Power. So even though it's not very effective, it still does a bit of damage, and hopefully Giraffe can clean up a little bit of the rest. So they go for a... Ooh, that's big damage. Giraffe's worried. But we get the Hyper Voice. It is able to take down the Pelipper. So we've won the Weather War. We know Blastoise has... Yeah, that is doing nothing, right? Because that is dependent on your hit points. And they do not have much hit points left at this stage of the game. So yeah, Water Spout, Aura Sphere, probably the Dragon Pulse. I don't know if they've gone for Shell Smash or not. But now the Archeludon's out, we will Hyper Voice again. And that should be enough to pick up the Blastoise, so we will Earth Power the Archeludon and do big, super special damage. Because Archeludon is predominantly defensive, so this is setting us up nicely for a Basculegion endgame. We've won the Weather War. So, and we've won the Trick Room, so now we just do a bit of damage to the Archeludon, follow up with a Hyper Voice. I don't think it's going to KO the Archeludon, but it'll definitely pick up the Blastoise, so it's good. And the Archeludon has 16% life left. They do get a Draco Meteor off onto Torkoal. Ooh, that's big damage. So we've gotten rid of Pelipper, we've gotten rid of Blastoise, they've got something left in the back. And they've got leftovers on Archeludon. So, I wonder if it's King Gambit in the back, we might be in a spot of bother. But, let's see. It is King Gambit. We might be in a spot of bother. So... it is Supreme Overlord. We've got one turn of Trick Room left. Giraffe can try and Hyper Voice the... No, we're probably better off trying to Psychic. Or Protect. We will try and Psychic the Archeludon, and we're going to have to Wave Crash in the Sun. Even though the Sun's got 2 turns left. Because, yeah, that's... not very effective, so... Archeludon protects, so King Gambit likely Cat-Out leaving here. Sucker Punch. But you cannot Sucker Punch our Giraffe. So the Psychic will fail into the Archeludon. So I think that's obviously a misplay on their behalf, but the fact that Sun's out, we're not doing that much damage to King Gambit. So, Twisted Dimensions return to normal. We will protect our Giraffe. And... yeah, this Sun's actually now working against us. But if we had Vileplume here, would we have been in a better position? I don't know. I do not know. So Giraffe protects, that allows us to avoid any Sucker Punches. We're going to try and Wave Crash. Yeah, that's not doing much in the Sun either. I think we've lost this to our own Sun. Flash Cannon into the Giraffe, and then a Kowtow Cleave into the Basculegion should clean up, and it does. So that'll be enough for us. They dominated the late game there. Basculegion was not helping. We'd won the Weather War, but lost everything in the process. So well done to them. They certainly navigated the mid to late game because I couldn't have locked into Last Respects then against the King Gambit. Would not have fared well. We just had one turn of Trick Room to last out, and the Sun was holding us back. But we will continue. We will progress. We will take the learnings. And we now see Incineroar King Gambit, and that could be their answer to Trick Room. They also have the Sun, and I think in this scenario we do this. I don't think Basculegion's going to help. I don't think they're going to be bringing Aerodactyl. I'm expecting their leads to be like Incineroar and the King Gambit. I don't think you would lead Charizard Venusaur here. They could get Sylveon in, and unfortunately we don't have any physical poison. Bringing Basculegion or Como here is probably not the wisest of decisions. We know that if King Gambit comes out late game, Basculegion's not doing much. But they do decide to lead with Aerodactyl Incineroar. So that is super surprising because we are nervous to eat berries. Intimidate doesn't do anything. I'm expecting the Incineroar to potentially taunt here, because obviously if you know Armor Tail, you're not going to be using Fake Out. Aerodactyl could Rock Slide, I guess. They could be fishing for flinches, because you're not going to be tailwinding for sure. So we'll get a little bit of chip here. I expect them to Rock Slide. Oh, Aerodactyl has the taunt. I called it wrong. They have caught us, and we didn't know what was happening. And now we're in a proper spot of bother, because we can't really switch into the things that we want to switch into, and we can't really do the things we want to do. So that was a Aerodactyl taunt, not expecting that. It's usually dual wing beat and tailwind and rock slide and protect, I guess, but they've managed to sneak in a taunt. And we're too nervous to eat our berry that we have on our giraffe to block the throat chop. But they are definitely committed to... Oh, throat chop blocks hyper voice too. Right, that is a very effective move against our giraffe. So again, that's piloting error. I'm not usually piloting giraffe. So yeah, the combo there of Aerodactyl and Incineroar is chef's kiss. Well done. Because unnerved us. Luckily we avoided the rock slide here, otherwise that would be detrimental to our Torkoal. I'm expecting them to go for another throat chop to try and get rid of our giraffe. Kangaskhan flinched. That was not what we needed. So now they're potentially going to rock slide again, obviously. I'm not sure what Incineroar is going to do. Do we protect? Do we go? I think we go back to giraffe. No, we protect and scatter turn. Hopefully Kangaskhan can actually low kick this time. The low kick should have done enough to Incineroar, so Rock Slide comes out again. Again, we're just banking on the fact that this doesn't flinch us. Okay, so Parting Shot, we protect, so we keep the Incineroar in so that we can low kick, and it is not enough. Oh, it is with Parental Bond. Excellent. It was almost not enough, and I was worried. Excellent. Okay, so now I have a plan. Ooh, but they have Charizard, which potentially changes my plan. But does it? Not really. I think this turn we get Giraffe in. I'm expecting them to do Heat Wavy stuff, so I'm not overly threatened on Torkoal. But I could just as easily switch out. But I won't. Rock Slide connecting is going to hurt a lot, but I don't want to lose the Focus Sash on my Vileplume, and I want to reactivate Kangaskhan's Fake Out ability so that I can get the Trick Room off. Although, given there's so much sun right now, I don't know if I really want to get rid of... although they've still got access to Tailwind. This is a mighty combo, Aerodactyl and Charizard. We've seen that a lot in MA, so... it's still hanging around in MB. Also, a Heat Wave here could clean up. And it does. This has left us in not a very good position. We've lost both Pokemon. They've lost their Tailwind, but we get Kangaskhan and Vileplume. So let's try and make the most of this somehow. We've got a little bit of sun left. How much sun have we got left? We've got 2 sun left, so that's cool. That allows us to put some pressure on the Aerodactyl. And some pressure on the Charizard, but if we can sleep the Charizard... Now we know Sleep Powder never connects, but... we give it a go. We keep giving it a go. You gotta keep giving it a go, don't you? I don't know. If it connects here, we're good as gold. And it does. Look at that. That's excellent. So this is our turning point. Because now that Charizard is asleep, we can double edge the Charizard. Now I'm expecting the Aerodactyl to Tailwind. So if we can get another Sleep Powder on the Aerodactyl as well, it'll prevent them from regaining speed control. But we could have probably just as easily Energy Balled, right? Neutral damage with Stab, 56, maybe? Probably should have Energy Balled, but we went for the Sleep Powder. Yeah, having a long, hard think. So Charizard's out. And Venusaur's in to try and reclaim the double speed. We tried again. Taunt. Okay, so we're actually still faster. Double Edge should break the Sash, assuming that Venusaur's sashed. Ooh, and almost KO'd with the Parental Bond. So, yeah, unfortunately now, Harsh Sunlight is gone. So, I reckon we try Sucker Punch the Venusaur and Energy Ball, because Sludge Bomb's going to be not very effective. So, I reckon something like this might work. Sucker Punch might be able to pick up the Venusaur before it gets a chance, which is what we wanted. The Aerodactyl could still... Tailwind here, but opts for the Rock Slide. Not enough to pick up the Kangaskhan. Luckily avoids the Vileplume. So I think our Focus Sash is still intact. And yeah, we should have just done that last turn. There was no need for me to Sleep Powder. That was silly. But now it's 2v a sleepy Charizard who has given Vileplume back the speed. So we will double edge. I don't know if you can Sucker Punch something while it's sleeping. And we will Sludge Bomb. Our Focus Sash is still intact. we're faster in the sun. So we'll get a Sludge Bomb off 40%, not bad. And then yeah, if this can do 20%, or just do 60%, cool. I will be okay with that. Kangaskhan survives on 1, excellent. We will take that. That was quite difficult to navigate. I think they obviously got us early game with the taunt, but we recouped and recovered. And yeah, they kind of use Sleep Powder enough. I mean, it's only meant to miss 1 out of every 4, but it misses quite a lot more than that. But we have our next battle, our next opponent, Koi, and it is yet another rain team, although they have Mega Meganium, which is cool, and they have Annihilate, which is also cool. So, what are they? Sableye could be coming out again, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. They've got a lot of Annihilate and Basculegion. So I think again we stick with our standard leads. Even though we've got multi-modes, we seem to be locking into this mode quite a lot. And then whether we need the Basculegion, if we can win the Weather War, Vileplume would be good. Also Vileplume I think is going to be our MVP in this matchup. Mainly because we've got Poison for the Meganium. We've got the Energy Ball for the Basculegion. We just need to somehow navigate around the Annihilate. That's going to be our tricky situation, I think. And it may be a scenario where we don't Mega Evolve Kangaskhan. So that's something to think about so we can keep our Scrappy. They are on a 2-win streak, so let's see what we can do. And yeah, it is something they straight up try and use against us. So we will not Mega Evolve. We will just fake out the Annihilate and Trick Room because we know Sableye can't touch us. Because Sableye is Prankster, and if Sableye tries to taunt us, we are immune. So our only threat right now is the Annihilate, so we will shut that down and do a little bit of damage. They think they can fake out us, doesn't work. And that allows us to set up the Trick Room, which is excellent. And now we've got a pretty dominant position. Again, because I haven't Mega Evolved, I can low kick the Sableye, although I'm not sure how much damage that's doing. And I get to Psychic Stab the Annihilate. And they could swap into something here, but I'm not sure what that something would be. So we'll see what they decide to do. This is obviously usually the time to set up the Reflect and or the Light Screen. And that would mean the difference of Annihilate living. But I'm keen to see what a low kick on a Sableye does. Probably not much. And half now because Reflect is up. But we should Psychic first, and this should do decent damage. Decent. But yeah, Giraffe's not there to destroy. Ooh, but we have procced Defiant. Yeah, low kick's not taken us to the end, unfortunately. So we're going to worry about a big Drain Punch here, but they've decided to bulk up instead, which is risky. Because we can obviously take them out next turn. And just in case, do we try and Sucker Punch them? They can't Sucker Punch us, they can't Priority us. So I reckon we just do Double Edge and Psychic. So yeah, they're pretty beef right now. So I even protect them to expect them to probably preserve the Annihilate. We've reduced their special defense, which has buffed up their offenses. They have got the light screen as well, so this will do half as much as it did last time, but it's still enough to get the KO, unless that was a crit. It was, so light screen does nothing to block crits. So that's fortunate for us, unfortunate for them. Yeah, okay, so Double Edge is the better choice here against their Sableye. But it's still going to be a multi-turn takeover if we keep this pace up. But we've seen Light Screen, we've seen Reflect, we've seen Fake Out. So maybe the last one's Foul Play. There's the Meganium. So we know Vileplume was the correct choice. I don't think we can Mega Evolve our Kangaskhan yet. But maybe this is a good time to get the Sun in, because we've still got 2 turns of Trick Room left. So I think this is our opportunity to get the Sun in. And yeah, Hyper Voice, there's no benefit right now. So we're just going to have to try and Psychic the Meganium to get a bit of chip. What am I expecting the Meganium to do? Okay, so they've withdrawn the Sableye. So they're going to reactivate their Fake Out soon. Basculegion's their last one. So are they setting up for post Trick Room, I wonder. But we'll come in, set the Sun. That'll turn them off Wave Crashing. But Meganium could Weather Ball here, or Dazzling Gleam, or Solar Beam. But we get a free cheeky. Oh, that's big. Was that a crit as well? Oh, man. They've Light Screened, but the Giraffe is just crit big. And then, yeah, this Solar Beam is at Torkoal. It's not big damage. It's at the Giraffe. Okay. So Torkoal's in. Torkoal's max life in the Sun with a turn of Trick Room left. So no negative to just erupting here. And then we will move our Psychic to the Basculegion. Meganium protects. We would expect that. But we should be able to get... Oh, double protect. Okay, so not Choice Scarfed. So they've navigated the last turn of Trick Room, and that would have been our opportune moment to swap. To maybe Kangaskhan to reset up the Trick Room, but I don't think that's our answer to the late game of this. I think we protect and just hope they try into the Giraffe. If they manage to take out the Giraffe, we get Vileplume in for free. And in the Sun, that'd be pretty good. Although they try to Wave Crash us. And Dazzling Gleam, which might not pick up the KO here on our Giraffe. It does not. So we get Trick Room back up. I was not expecting that. So now we have to change our game plan a little bit. We'll go back to doing an Eruption, because there's no negative there. And yeah, Psychic against the Basculegion, because Eruption should take out the Meganium. But Meganium protects. I expect Basculegion to also protect. No, Aqua Jet doesn't work. Naughty, naughty. So this will be an Eruption and a Psychic on the Basculegion, which maybe might be enough. Oh, the Reflect light screen's still up, so it's a battle of the durations. So yeah, they know we can't Aqua Jet now. We've got 1 turn of Sun left, so let's try and make use of it. And yeah, we're just going to have to keep Psychic, because even though the Basculegion can protect, our Hyper Voice is just not doing anything. So we get the double on the Eruption, and then yeah, we were glad not to Hyper Voice there, and Psychic, that'll get rid of the Basculegion. Excellent. And then Sableye will come back out. And Sunlight will fade, We've still got a couple turns of Trick Room left, which was, again, wholesomely unexpected. I was expecting this to go a completely different route, but they Dazzling Gleam and targeted the Torkoal on the turn we were going to Trick Room, which was not enough to KO. And then I guess they also expected the Aqua Jet to go through, but it did not. But you can see immediately, in comparison to last video, the level of play just in Ultra Ball in and of itself is significantly higher than the previous tiers. But we have our next opponent. It was Hall Goopy. Now, they are a snow team, very heavily snow team, and very heavily fairy team. So, again, in this situation, I don't think we have any ability to deviate, because Basket Legion, I mean, other than Como being potentially good here against both the Dragonite and the Garchomp, we'll need something for the Melodic and the Sylveon. But what is their answer to Trick Room? I don't think they have one. And luckily there's no ghosts to ruin our Hyper Voice double edge strategy that we're deploying. They are on a 6-win streak. So if they go down here, they are going to be very salty. But they're leading with Dragonite and Ninetales. So I'm expecting Aura Veil. I'm expecting Hurricane, Blizzard. Lots of different things. But let's do what we do, and it's best to break multi-scale and set up Trick Room. Because I'm not overly threatened by the Ninetales. You know, Blizzard can come in, Blizzards come, Blizzards go. That's what they do. There does seem to be some communication issues, as this seems to be taking a little bit longer than usual. But we get into it. They are going to Mega Evolve the Dragonite. So it is good to shut that down and break multi-scale. They were faster than us. Surprise, surprise. But did they protect? So no protect. We just get straight in with 13%. But that is with the multi-scale, and they are able to set up the Aurora Veil. So again, things that we were expecting. I don't know if we could have, if we had stopped the Aurora Veil, what Dragonite was going to do. But we could now, I think, are we overly worried about the Ninetales or the Dragonite? I think we go Ninetales and a Hyper Voice. I'm not sure what the Dragonite can do at this point. I'm not sure whether it... Aurora Veil is putting in a bit of work there. I'm keen to see what the Dragonite can do. They're just going to Hurricane in the snow, which is surprising. But they're going to put a bit of pressure on our Kangaskhan and then the Blizzard. Okay, so now we know what we're up against and how much we do. So yeah, we will go this way this turn. Because next turn we can bring in the Torkoal, which should be good. We can change the weather. They're getting defense, because snow provides a defense bonus to ice types in the snow. So we get the Hyper Voice here on the Dragonite, and we'll also get the Double Edge. So we ignored the Ninetales this turn, so it's a bit of a wasted protect for them. We live from the Double Edge, but then they go to Draco Meteor. So the Dragonite is not really much of a threat now. We even still survive. I am... it's annoying, because we kind of want to go down. We've got 2 turns of Trick Room left. So yeah, we'll just double edge and Hyper Voice again. We should be able to clean up the Dragonite here, unless it protects, but it protects. So we should at least be able to take out the Ninetales this turn through Aurora Veil. So they're just kind of mitigating the damage. So giving us a nice target to get into. This should KO the Kangaskhan though. And it does. So now we can get our Torkoal in. We should still have 1 turn of Trick Room left. And that should be enough to take out the Dragonite and whatever else they bring in, unless whatever else they bring in immediately protects. But let us see what they decide to do. Because we've still got our Vileplume in the back. So they go for Melodic. That's okay with us, again, because we've got the Vileplume in the back. So actually that kind of changes things, because we obviously Erupt here, given this is the last turn of Trick Room, so our best bet is to Erupt. We could Protect here. Oh, actually, if it's the last turn of Trick Room, we don't want to Protect. We want to Psychic the Melodic and try and do as much damage as we can, but the Melodic protects. Good on him. Dragonite tries for the double protect, fails. The Eruption should be able to pick up the Dragonite here, otherwise we're in a bit of a problem. But it does. So now they get their last Pokemon in for free, and Trick Room has ended. So let's see what their last Pokemon is, and that might help us navigate. Okay, so it is Garchomp. So a big Earthquake here could be disastrous, but they've just protected on Melodic. And our Torkoal has kind of lost a bit of steam. But I think that's okay. I think we protect on Torkoal, and we just try and do a Hyper Voice. And we expect that they somehow KO the Giraffe. That lets our Vileplume in for free, which will then let us do a big Eruption next turn if we want to After You. So yeah, we'll protect on Torkoal, preserve it for a turn. They are going to Outrage into our Giraffe. So does this mean the Melodic is going to Coil? Or is it going to Scold? Okay. So we're okay. How do we navigate this is the question. So Melodic just went for a Scold. Garchomp is locked into Outrage. Outrage isn't overtly scary. So I think we Eruption here in the sun. It's not very effective, but Stab in the Sun's pretty good. We're at full health. And I guess we just try and pick off the Melodic. We'll survive a Outrage, a hit from Outrage. We've got our Focus Sash on Vileplume. I don't know if the target of your Outrage faints, whether you're able to redirect. Because you could easily expect Melodic to protect here, but they don't. Garchomp has automatically targeted the Torkoal. And it is also fast, so they are locked into Outrage. I'm expecting that Garchomp to be Choice Scarf then. They're doubling into the Torkoal. Yeah, that KO'd. So, our Energy Ball did... Ooh. It could be enough next turn to KO, but we've still got to deal with the Garchomp. We don't have... No, it's going to be Energy Ball, and it's going to be 50-50. If we go in the Melodic, or we Sleep Powder. If we go into the Melodic, I'm hoping the Melodic protects, but they don't. We're lucky the Garchomp did 17% to itself. Energy Ball gets it down to half. Melodic recovers. And the Aurora Veil has worn off now. So we've got one turn of Sun. I think we Energy Ball the Garchomp. Outside of Aurora Veil, the Energy Ball should pick up the KO. Although this Outrage is going to hurt. Oh, yeah, okay. So yeah, we really needed to do something about the Garchomp last turn, but even then we weren't in a position to do much about it. And that was a lucky Blizzard outside of the... Blizzard has less of a chance to hit than Sleep Powder outside of Snow, but they seem to do it anyway. Okay, so yeah, we kind of hit a bit of a stall. We didn't really go up a rank here in this session. We got pretty close, but we were flanning around at rank 4. So we will wrap it up there. We will have a look. Maybe we need to change some of the team's special or stat points. We can do that on the website. So don't forget, in the description below, we've got the website to all of the stat point calculators and a whole bunch of Pokemon information and some drafting tools. So feel free to check those out. If you're enjoying this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and I appreciate your support. Otherwise, until next time, take care and enjoy. Thank you.